first and foremost, we saw incredibly poor management at banks. If you look at Silicon Valley Bank, their stock in a year went from 40 billion to 13 billion, and their balance sheet went from 100 billion to north of 200 billion. So they started taking different risks. And what they did was they mismatched dramatically their assets and liabilities. And even what I would say, they mismatched the risk of those assets and liabilities, right? They started buying mortgages. Well, we all know in a rising rate environment, mortgages go down in price and their duration extends, and they're competing versus overnight deposits. So when we came out of the Lehman crisis, if you were a systemically important financial institution, which means you had severe stress tests, you had a look at your capital adequacy, you were 50 billion or larger in assets. Under the Trump administration, and this is not being political because Democrats voted as well for it, maybe 15 Democrats, they moved that number from 50 billion to 250 billion. So Silicon Valley Bank, which lobbied Congress dramatically during that time, they got kicked out of being a systemically important institution. I think going from 50 to 250 was too big of a move. I could have seen somewhere around 100 be the right number. That would have put all these banks back in. And so I think you're going to see regulation probably get beefed up again. I also want to give applause to the Biden administration, the Treasury, the FDIC, and the Federal Reserve, because they threaded the needle as much as you could on that Sunday night, knowing that we are now in a different world than we were in 2008. We're in a world now where digital finance and social media moves faster than regulation can. They're playing catch up. That is something we're all going to have to look at. I have been on these Twitter open forums 3 of the last 5 days. I think there were 15,000 plus, listeners coming in, and they move incredibly fast. And, I'm not one of those monster influencers, but those influencers with 1 million, 2 million followers, they hype something up and it gets passed on to the next person hyping something up. And all of a sudden, this piece of information, which may not be a real fact, proliferates throughout the system as a fact. So I think we're going to have to look at that situation over time as well, of how, information and financial services gets nuanced, and, is there a different way to think about it?